Hello and welcome to the new video. If this is your first time here, my name is Hannah. If this is not your first time here, welcome back. Today my plan for this video is to work on my book blanket and also talk about the books that I have listened to and read in August. I am quite happy that the summer is over now. I was looking forward to getting those, rainy, cozy days where you can just tuck yourself away on the sofa with a nice cup of tea under a nice blanket. Can't wait for those days. Today is 1st of September, and I actually finished all my reading for August, and I have realized that I have not touched my book blanket. I think I am quite far behind, so I thought, why not crochet and chat about the books that I have read. I have to do 8 rows on my book blanket for August. I actually had a very mixed reading month, because all in all, I started 18 books, but I only finished 15 of them, or 14 or something like this. It doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. I've had, mixed books this month, and some of these books were, let me just think what I need to do. What am I doing first? Okay, so I'm connected now. So this was this is the pink, basically divides the months for me, and then I had a 4-star, 2 5-stars, a 4-star, a 3-star, a DNF, a 3-star, a 4-star, a 2-star, and a 5-star. In August and July, actually, both of them, I have been reading Taylor Jenkins Reid's entire bibliography. I have read all of them. Oh wait, I'm making a mistake. So I have read all of them, so I will not be talking about these books here, because I've already talked about them in a separate vlog. You will find a link in the description box below. Also, you should be seeing this on your screens right now, I think, as a little card in one of the corners in the top corner of your screen, to fill up the gap for the audiobooks, because I do like listening to the audiobooks, especially if I'm like crocheting or when I have time, like, I don't know, if I'm doing housework and stuff like that. So I tried to find the books that I actually have on my bookshelves, and most of the books that I listened to were from Libby or from BorrowBox, which is basically a service provided by my local library. And the first one of these books was Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose, and it was basically a mother passes away and the 3 siblings come home, and one of them, she used to live with her mom and look after her. One of them is kind of like the black sheep of the family. She went to rehab and she used to like drink alcohol and do drugs and stuff like that. And there's also a brother that is quite successful, went to good schools, and I think he was into computers and stuff and sciences and stuff like that. So he went to university or college in America, and he became quite successful. And after the mother passes away, they all come home and they are putting the stuff away. They're thinking about selling their house. They are going through the mother's things, and they discover a box with some home videos, and basically they start watching those home videos. And on one of the videos that was recorded they find the parents with a body of a young girl, and that young girl, she went missing years and years ago when the kids were little, like teenagers and stuff like that, and her body was never found. So the siblings now, they're suspecting that the parents had something to do with the death of this girl, and basically digging a little bit, and at the end obviously they find out what happened, who was the murderer and everything. And yeah, I rated that book 4 stars. It was a fun read. It's worth a read if you have access to this book. I wouldn't exactly say, you know, run and get that book, but if you have access to it on Libby or in your library, then yeah, give it a read. It's worth a read. I rated that one 4 stars. And then the next audiobook I've listened to was The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I actually had a beautiful edition of this book from Abominable Book Club, but that audiobook became available on Libby and I just grabbed it. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. This was such a good book. This is a vampire story, but it's not a vampire story as you would imagine a vampire story to be. Basically, this happens, I think, in the beginning of the 20th century or the end of 19th century in some remote settlement in, I said Oklahoma, Kentucky. I don't know exactly, I don't want to mistake, but yeah, it's somewhere where the Indian reservations are. Anyway, so this is happening there, and there's this priest and he's doing a mass every Sunday, and every Sunday for like the last few weeks there is this person that appears, that comes into church and sits in the very back row. And after a few weeks, this priest starts chatting to this man. And also the funny thing is the man comes in dressed as a priest as well. So anyway, so he starts chatting to him, and turns out this man is an Indian. And in the audiobook, the person that reads Good Stabs, portions, rows, parts, he does such a good job. I just felt so engrossed in his storytelling, in his reading, in his narration. I honestly felt like I was sitting by the bonfire with Indians, and they were telling their legends and their stories. That's how good the narration was. I feel like this book, the narration is literally 5 stars. I rated that one 4.5 stars. So just to give you a heads up, it wasn't a full stop because there was a weird moment in this book, and I just thought it was a bit unnecessary. But generally, I absolutely loved that book. That book was about genocide, really, you can say, about how the soldiers were fighting Indians and stuff like that, but also about buffalo hunting. I think buffaloes were near extinct at some point because of people basically were hunting buffaloes for the horns. I think they're called horns. They're not antlers. I think deer has antlers. They have horns. Anyway, so the buffalo was like near extinct, and this buffalo hunter was basically hunting the buffalo hunters. There were a few scenes in this book that they were so gross, but you know, if you know me, if you've been on this channel for a while, you know I'm not afraid of gross. But yeah, generally it was a very sad book. There were a few moments when I literally just felt like crying, and yeah, it's a vampire story, but it's a very, very different vampire story. So if you think, oh, you know, I don't like vampire books, give this one a go. I feel like this book is definitely worth a read. It's so interesting, and if you manage to get an audiobook, oh my gosh, highly recommend an audiobook, because that narrator, he's done such a good job narrating Good Stabs parts. Absolutely loved it. 4.5 stars on Goodreads. I rounded it up to 5 because yeah, you can't do half stars on Goodreads, but I took away half a star because there was a very weird scene with the prairie dog, and I just thought it was a little bit weird and a bit unnecessary. But honestly, this book kind of makes me feel like I want to read Stephen Graham Jones again, and I thought this was an author that I will never ever touch again. But yeah, actually makes me want to read his books again. And I think the one that I rated so low recently was The Only Good Indians, I think. So I don't know, I might give it a go again. The next book that I listened to was White Smoke by Tiffany D Jackson, and that was a young adult paranormal horror, and that was actually really good. There were a few scenes with bed bugs that literally they get under your skin, and oh, that's creepy. But yeah, it was good. It was about a family that moves into this town, and it's kind of like, you know, the mom is an artist and she wins this competition, and as a reward they get to move into this house, and she can work on the art for the town, and they live there for free, mortgage free. So she moves in with her husband and her 2 kids, 3 kids actually. It's a blended family. I think the mom and the kids are black, and the father, the stepfather, and his daughter, they're white. So, you know, you get issues of mixed families, blended families, also, you know, issues of race in this book as well. This book really felt like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Get Out, really felt like that movie as well. I think the author did a really good job building dread in this book, because there were a few scenes when I actually felt quite scared. And for a young adult book to do this to me, yeah, hats off. This was a really good book. I rated that one 4 stars. Highly recommend reading this. It was a fun read, 4 stars for me. There was a twist at the end that was done before. I've seen it done before, but it doesn't take away from the book. Yeah, give it a go. Fun read, 4 stars. After I finished listening to White Smoke, I listened to 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, and that was her standalone young adult thriller. And basically what it was a group of kids on a spring break, and they were in like an RV or like a camper van, and they got stuck somewhere, and someone shoots at them, and this person wants them, this one specific person from the van, from the RV, they say, I want you to reveal your secret, but they don't know who that shooter is asking about or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of like the whole thing is a mystery. They're trying to figure out what the secret is, who has the secret, you know, stuff like that. So anyway, you know, they are being kind of like terrorized by this shooter that's sitting in the trees and in the woods somewhere. And I don't know, I kind of felt bored with this book. I think this was the kids in this book, those teenagers, those people, I just found them very irritating, and they were grinding my gears. There was a twist at the end, but it was forgettable because I actually can't remember what the twist was. And when did I read this? I finished this on the 12th of August. So yeah, I don't know. I think I rated, what, 3 stars? Yeah, I rated that book 3 stars. And I actually said in my review, 3 stars, maybe 3.5 at the push. I unhold this book. I had a physical copy. I unhold it. The only good thing about listening to this audiobook was the fact that I removed another physical book off my shelf. So a success, I guess. And then the next book that I've read, this one I actually read physically. And I've read this for my reader book for every year I've been alive challenge. That was The Running Man by Richard Bachman, but obviously we know it's Stephen King. And that was good. I actually never seen the movie. I know there was a movie that came out a long time ago with Arnie, and I think the new one is coming out, or is come out already. I can't remember. But the book was good. The book was interesting. The reason I picked this book up is because Stephen King wrote this book in 1982, but the action of this book, the storyline, was set in 2025. And I was curious to see how Stephen King saw 2025. You know, I was so curious to see. Apart from hover cars, cars that were kind of using gas to hover above the ground, I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. There was a lot of, like, you know, talk about air pollution and people getting different diseases and people not being able to afford to buy food and feed their families and stuff like that. And I think that in a way is true, because there's so many people that currently struggle. They afford to pay the bills, they afford to feed their families. So yeah, but you know, although we do have like electric cars and stuff like that, we actually don't have hover cars. But the concept of this book was this guy, Benjamin. He had a wife and a child, and his child, I think, had a pneumonia or something like this, and basically he got fired from his job in the nuclear mine, and he didn't have money to provide for medicine for his kid, for his baby girl. So he decided to go onto this TV show, The Running Man. So basically what it was, he gets like 12-hour head start, but then he needs to run and hide and escape the hunters that are chasing him. And you know, for every, I think, hour that he stays hidden, or he doesn't get caught, I think he earns like $100 or something like this. But also there is an incentive for the viewers to kind of like give his position away, and I think if they give a tip with his position or location, they get $100. But if they give a tip that will lead to dispatching this running man, I think they get like $1,000 or something like this. So there are a lot of people, you know, you can't trust anyone, because you know, they will tell the chasers and the hunters where you are just to get the money, because obviously everyone is poor and everyone is struggling with money. So that was a thriller. That was a short thriller. I think that was literally maybe just over 250 pages, something like this, and it was a fun read. The chapters were short, full of action. It was a very fast-paced thriller. It was good. I enjoyed that one. Yeah, I rated that one 4 stars, and that will fill up a space on my little chart. And I think the next one I'll be reading for 1983 will be The Queen's Gambit. Yay, exciting. I'm back after a quick battery change, and I'm almost finished with this row. Well, this is a granny square, so the rows are getting bigger the more I do it. So anyway, so that was The Running Man. What was next? The next book that I listened to, apparently, I can't remember nothing from this, was a horror movie by Paul Tremblay. And in my review, I said, typical Paul Tremblay, take it as you will. And I rated that book 2 stars. I actually don't know what this book is about. That was something about this group of kids doing a horror movie. One of these girls, she found this mask, and she asked a friend to become this thin kid and wear this mask, and they were recording it in some sort of a school. That was a weird book. I don't even know how I gave it 2 stars. But yeah, if you have read anything by Paul Tremblay before, this is a very typical Paul Tremblay book. I had such big hits and misses with Paul Tremblay. I think the only book that I really enjoyed was The Cabin at the End of the World, which I rated 5 stars. And everything else by Paul Tremblay, I think most of them were either DNFs or like 2-star reads. So I don't think I will be messing with Paul Tremblay anymore. Unfortunately, it just proves that this is not an author for me. I don't enjoy his writing. I get confused. I don't know. If you are a Paul Tremblay fan, you know, whatever. It's, yeah, it's Paul Tremblay is not for me. So yeah, that's it. I think that was my goodbye to Paul Tremblay as well. Okay, so the row is finished. I need to attach another color, but let me see which color should I attach now. So 4 is done. Aha, okay. I need to attach this, which is my DNF color, and I'll tell you more about my DNFs when I finish talking about the books that I actually finished and somewhat enjoy. Okay, my DNF color is attached, so let's do another row and let's talk about another book. And that was actually a really good book, and the book I'm talking about is The Troop by Nick Carter, and that was actually one of my favorite types of horror book, where you have an isolated setting. There is no easy way of getting away or running away or whatever. Also all that good body horror, and there were some worms and stuff like that. It was just so good. But anyway, so this book starts with a group of boys and the scout leader, the scouts and the scout leader going onto this island to spend the weekend and collect some badges and stuff like that. And while they are just literally just Friday night, they set up in the cabin that's on this island. And so the teacher's just chilling on a veranda outside, and there's this guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. But, you know, because we're reading a book, we obviously know that he also arrived on this island by boat, and he's not feeling very well. And he says that he's super hungry and he's just asking for food. And that scout leader, he is a GP. He's a general practitioner. He's a doctor. So him, you know, he feels obliged to take this guy inside and feed him. And turns out the guy is very sick. He's got a fever, whatever. And I think they kind of like, he spends the night on a couch in the living room, and the next day the teacher sends the boys off to complete the tasks on their own. And he just asks one of them to stay behind and help him, because that boy's father, he's got a mortuary. So sometimes he I can't remember this boy's name, but sometimes he helps his father with like the bodies. The only thing that's happening really is the fact that overnight this teacher's lost a lot of weight, and the only contact he had with this patient that also is very, very skinny, literally skin and bones, was when that patient, that other man, coughed and some of his saliva landed on his face. So that was the only contact that was between them. And yeah, so he started losing a lot of weight, and now he wants to find out what happened, why is he losing all this weight, and whatnot. So he asked this boy, you know, I need your help. We need to find out. We need to get to the bottom of things and stuff. So the other boys go on this like the badge collecting expedition, let's just say, on this island, and these two stay behind. And he starts to, I think he cuts his abdomen, and something comes out from his abdomen, right? So I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but let me just tell you, the stuff that comes out is fucking scary. It's scary in a sense that I don't know if it's technically possible, but it's probable. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I don't know. This is a sci-fi horror, okay? I see it as a sci-fi horror, and the way that everything is described. It literally gives you chills. And oh my god, like I wish I could talk more about this book, but I don't want to give spoilers. Let me just tell you, it's so exciting. It is exciting the way these things are described. Oh my gosh, that will literally give you goosebumps. Like I absolutely freaking love that book. It was so good. The fact that we had children also involved, you know, I always say I'm a mother, and I think maybe that's why horror that involves little children scares me a lot, and the most, not the most, but a lot, is because I know how vulnerable they are. I mean, my kids are big now, so you know, it's different, but like knowing, having had the little children before, I know how vulnerable they are, and it just kind of like hits you different, you know. But also that aspect of a sci-fi horror, something that is technically very possible. You know, we have agencies working on different viruses and diseases, and you know, they have these labs when they store things, and it literally takes one stupid person to do something silly, and that's it. We have another pandemic, another epidemic, and it's just yeah. So it was really, really good. I loved that book, absolutely loved that book. It is a little bit of a chunker, and it starts a little bit slow, but once you get into it, once the good stuff starts happening, you're like, so good. Absolutely love that. If you are someone that likes body horror and worms and, you know, stuff like that, you will love it. I rated that one 5 stars. Highly recommend it. And then the next book that I listened to was actually a young adult horror called Horrid by Katrina Katrina Leno. And that, I can't remember. Oh yes, so there was a mom and a daughter, and the dad, I think, passes away. He's got like a heart attack or something, and turns out he was in a lot of debt, so they had to sell the house and everything, and they're moving back to Maine, where the mom comes from. They're moving into this old house. They need to like repair it and everything, and the girl joins the local high school, and they say that there's some like weird stuff going in the house, that the people that live in the house, they go crazy. And it feels, I think it's called, if it's even mentioned in a book, the Polichinelle secret. It's when everybody knows something and you are the only person that has no idea. So this is the kind of situation there as well. Like everybody knows what happened in this house, what happened to this family, and she's the only one that has no clue, but everyone else thinks that she knows. So they kind of treat her a little bit like an outsider, and yeah, she manages to make a couple of friends in there, and in the end they help her out. But yeah, it was a quite an interesting young adult horror, definitely for younger audiences, but still, even for adults, there was few paranormal situations there where actually, you know, it was giving me, you know, it had me creeped out, and it had me like, you know, a little bit, not scared, because I'm not scared of these things, but you know, when you read a good horror book, a paranormal, and the author builds up the tension and dread in the book, it was one of those. So yeah, that one I rated 4 stars as well. And also the good thing, the really good thing, and it was a different thing from for this type of books, I think, as well, was the ending. The ending was unexpected, and actually it got me, it left me a little bit shocked, because I absolutely did not expect it. Yeah, it was a fun read. If you have access to it, I would say read it. I again had it from Libby, I believe, so go ahead and read it if you have access to it. An audiobook was really quite good as well. And yeah, 4 stars from me. Oh, and then the book that I read on, I listened to this book, but the only reason I've listened to this book is because it was part of a challenge from Goodreads. Like, you know, when Goodreads has the monthly challenges, if you click on that channel, on that challenge, on the yearly challenge, sorry, you get access to like a monthly challenge, and it's like basically you're collecting like bookmarks or something like this. And one of those was to read a specific book from like the selection that they were providing, and the book that I chose that was interesting, it sounded interesting, was The Names by Florence Knapp. And I think that was her debut, and it was more of a literary fiction, not something that I reach for a lot of the times, but I think the premise of the book was what kind of sparked my interest. And basically what it was is, in the first chapter, or in a prologue, we meet this woman. I can't remember her name, but she was the mom, and she already had a daughter. Her daughter was at that point, I think, like 8 or 9 or something like this, and she had a little baby boy. And that baby boy, it was only a few weeks old, because in the UK you have 6 weeks to register the name of your newly born baby. So he was less than 6 weeks, or around 6 weeks. Her husband was a GP, in a local surgery, and his name is Gordon, by the way, and he comes from a long line of doctors and surgeons. Everyone in his family, every man was a surgeon or a doctor, and every one of them were called Gordon. So Gordon is kind of like the family name that you should pass. So anyway, so this woman, she's kind of thinking, she's going to the register office with her daughter and her baby, and she doesn't want to name the child Gordon. She wants to name him something else, and the baby girl comes up with an idea for a name, and she names the baby by this name, Bear. And, you know, she comes home, she tells the husband, and this is how things unfold. And then you will have another chapter where instead of her naming the baby Bear, she names him Julian. And then she goes home and things unfold, and this is how their life happens. And in the third chapter, you will see her again going to the registry office and naming the baby Gordon. And this is what happens after. So it's a very interesting concept that was done before, but I don't think I've ever seen it done in this specific way. So you have three different people, and you start with them as a baby, then you are 7 years later and 7 years later. So everything is like in 7-year increments. Every part of the book is a 7-year increment, and it kind of is amazing how different your life could be depending on what your name was, or the choices, depending on the choices of the people that named you and stuff like that. So it was, my God, let me just tell you, I was sobbing. I was bawling my eyes out listening to this book. It was a very sad book. I think definitely check trigger warnings going into this book if you have issues, because there was a lot about abuse and, you know, spousal abuse and, you know, domestic abuse, and it was horrible to listen to in places, and it was very, very sad. It made me cry. This is one of the very few books that made me cry, like full-on tears. I was listening to this and I was literally wiping my eyes with the tissue and blowing my nose because I was proper crying. It basically was, you know, 3 different names and 3 different storylines of their life, you know, how their life played out. It was so interesting. It was so incredibly beautifully written. I don't know if I can say that, but it was an amazing book. I actually went and got a hardback copy of this book because I really want to have this book on my bookshelf. This is a book that you can read again and again, and I would like to reread it physically at some point. It was beautiful. If I could give it unlimited stars, I would give it unlimited stars. And the shocker was even more because it was a debut book. It was absolutely stunning. And, you know, the emotions I felt listening to the book, they were real. And it rarely happens that a book has such a big impact on me, such a big emotional impact on me, and this one definitely had. So if you can only buy one book in September, please buy The Names by Florence Knapp, because it's an amazing book. You will not regret reading it. So I won't be talking about the next couple of books because these are ARCs from the NetGalley, and actually I am recording a vlog for that video where I read my ARC books. But the last book that I have read in August was actually a non-fiction book, and that was Surviving to Drive by Guenther Steiner. Guenther Steiner, he used to be, I think, one of the founders, if I remember correctly, one of the founders, and he used to be a team principal for Haas F1 team. That was an American team, and they had some different struggles with money and with drivers and issues like that. So he basically is telling a story of this Haas team while he was there. You know, from the start when they founded the team, you know, the application process, everything. It was so interesting. Also, he talks about his career in autosport, because F1 team principal in the F1 team wasn't his only autosport job. So I just found it really interesting as a fan of F1 to kind of see a little bit of this insight, a personal insight, you know, into what happens like behind the closed doors and everything. You know, I just found it really interesting. I know we get to see a little bit of that in Drive to Survive. If you watch that on Netflix, that's the show about kind of like the backstage of F1 championship. And yeah, so I'm a fan of both. I like watching F1 and I love watching Drive to Survive. And, you know, Guenther is such a character. He is rude, he swears a lot, he says it as it is. It was such a fun read, and also he was reading that, and it's just a very typical Guenther. He will swear. There's a lot of swearing in his book, but normally he swears a lot. But it basically is if he's reading his diary that he wrote during the 2022 season. And it was such a good book. I absolutely enjoyed it. I don't read non-fiction a lot, but I do like reading memoir, and especially about people that interest me. And F1 is definitely a topic that interests me. And I feel Guenther is such a character that, you know, it's nice to find out a little bit more about what makes him tick and how he works and stuff like that. There are people that say, oh, I don't rate memoir or non-fiction books or whatever because you can't put a star rating on a person's life. But do you know what? I disagree. I feel the star rating is for the enjoyment of the book, and you're not rating a person's life. You're rating your enjoyment of the book, and my enjoyment was 5 stars, and Surviving to Drive is getting 5 stars from me. And I think he published another book, Unfiltered, as well, so that's on my radar. I will see if I can get my hands on it. Okay, I'm gonna change the color because I've done my DNF roll. Okay, so in the month of August, I actually DNF'd 3 books. The first one was The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D Jackson. And you know what? I have read Grown by Tiffany D Jackson, and I loved it so much. I followed it up with, I think, White Smoke, which I also rated highly. I rated it 4 stars. And then I picked up another one that was from Borrow Box as well, and that was The Weight of Blood. And that was supposed to be a retelling of Carrie by Stephen King. I think I DNF'd it at like halfway point or something like this. 54%. Right, so that one was also a young adult, and that was about a girl that looks white, but she's mixed race. Her father is white, and her mother, that she never knew, was black or mixed race. And the girl looks white, but I think there is a scene when they are running in PE and they're running laps, and I think it starts to rain or something like this, and her hair kind of pops out from the ponytail and becomes really frizzy, and that's how people recognize that, you know, she's got a black person's hair. And then she gets bullied for this. I think people don't like her generally because she's kind of like this outsider, but you know, finding out that she is black makes things worse for her, because this is happening somewhere when even in current times, but they still have like the segregation going on. And I think they're organizing separate prom for white kids and separate prom for black kids and stuff like that. So there's a lot of talk about races in this book, but honestly I actually don't remember why I DNF'd this book now. In my review I said that this one really reads like a young adult book, and I think having had not the best experiences with like 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, I was kind of fed up listening to the young adult and also dealing with those irritating high school kids as well. I think maybe this is what was grinding my gears. I don't know, maybe if I have read Carrie before, maybe I will look at this a bit differently, but I haven't. And yeah, I didn't exactly have the best time reading or listening to The Weight of Blood. I know this book is generally quite highly rated. I think it's over 4 stars on Goodreads. So maybe one day I'll give it a go. It was a library loan as well. So, you know, I haven't lost anything. I might give it a go again one day, but for now, this month in August 2025, I have DNF'd this book at 54%. And then what was the other DNF? My next DNF was Listen to Your Sister by Nina Veal, and that was about a girl and her 2 brothers, and I think the parents passed away or something, I don't know, but she was a guardian to her younger brother Jamie. And honestly, I got so confused with this book. They all had some sort of visions, and Jamie was just like a naughty kid. He was like into drugs, and he was part of this kind of like a riot and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just got so lost and so confused. I didn't know what I was listening to. I had no clue. And I just got super bored. So I got super bored. It wasn't a book for me. I was trying to like this book because this book, I think, came in my Abominable Book Club box, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a box of stories, one of them. But it was from a box, and I really wanted to like this book, and I didn't. I DNF'd it at 25%, and I think I used up a credit from Audible on this one, and I returned the book because yeah, it's just not for me. It was too slow, it was too confusing. I just didn't enjoy it. And then my last DNF of this month of August, and also means a series DNF, was Favebreaker by Hannah Kaden. Favebreaker is the last book in her trilogy. The first one being Godkiller, then Sunbringer, and the third one was obviously The Favebreaker. And I really enjoyed Godkiller because it had this element of a found family. When you get a group of people coming together, they're going on a mission, on an adventure, and you know the stakes are high. And I really enjoyed that book. I think I rated Godkiller 4 stars. And Sunbringer, they got separated. This whole team of people got separated, and it kind of influenced my rating of the Sunbringer, because it became this something else. And I think I rated Sunbringer 3 stars. And now I had this Faith Breaker that was released this year. It's a new release, and that book was sitting on my shelf, and I was like, do you know what, let me give it a go, let me give it a read, and then I can finish that series. And I think my first attempt at reading this book was actually soon after it came out, and I didn't like it. I put it away and I soft DNF'd it. So this time again, I was like, let me give it another go, see if it's any good, see if I like it. I picked it up, I started reading it, and I got so bored. The writing was so dense. I was like, I just can't do it. Of DNF'd it first time, I placed a hold on Libby or BorrowBox, I can't remember, one of them. I placed a hold and I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna give it a go with an audiobook. I'm gonna see what it's like. So finally in August, my audiobook hold came through, and I was like, yeah, let's give it another go. I started listening to this, and I just got so bored. I just got so bored. So I was like, okay, the narrator, the way she was reading, it was horrible. I was not getting on with the narration. It was so mechanic. The way that book was read, it was just horrible. So I was like, let me read it physically. Maybe I will have a better time at, you know, reading this book with my eyeballs. And no, I didn't. I just found it boring. I found it dense. I don't like the fact that we are again separated. I bet, you know, there will be a reuniting of the characters at the end of the book, because I think, well, obviously I think they should be reunited, but I don't know, I felt like what I liked about the God Killer, the first book, it just wasn't there. You know, the fact that they were separated, there was also some love interest, and there was literally zero chemistry between the love interests. It was disappointing. I have actually unhauled an entire trilogy. I put these books on my vintage. Also, I feel what doesn't work for this book is the fact that there's so many different point of views. You get so confused. Well, not you, maybe not you, but I got so confused. It was just too much. It was too much. This one got a DNA. This one got DNF'd at 63%. So you can see I actually gave it a really good try. I just, yeah. No, I'm sorry, Miss Hannah Kana. I did not enjoy these books. The God Killer, yes, but this one is a no. And that's it. So these are all the books that I have read and DNF'd in August. Well, except I didn't tell you about my Taylor Jenkins Read books, but you can find out all about them in my Taylor Jenkins Read vlog. And also look out for the ARC reading vlog. Our reading vlog is basically advanced readers copy. Some of the books that I will be reading in this vlog are the books that have already been published, but some of them are coming up in September, October time. So yeah, it's exciting. I hope that you will subscribe if you haven't already, and you know, keep an eye out for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed chilling with me this afternoon. I've done 1, 2, nearly 3 rows of my blanket, so I still have a lot of work to do, but this is what it's looking like right now. My goal for today is to finish August, and yeah, start working on September. That's it. I hope I didn't bore you to death. Thanks for chilling with me. I'm gonna go and work on my blanket, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.